Hello everyone, this is Talos with Skulls, and I'm answering some questions about Sidutru as well here. Apparently some people have actually checked out the videos that I just made a long list of. You just kind of get to the point on the different subjects and whatnot. And one of the questions is, why is Sidutru so significantly distinct from things like Sidutru and the practitioners that call themselves Sidutru, and those other ones that claim that magic's called Seek or Sight, depending on the dialect, or Seether or Seether. And there are significant reasons, and most of this is because of very, very, very careful research, not relying on the sources like the Eddas, which were written by Snorri Sturluson in the 13th century. He was already Christian, and the region was already Christianized, so he was writing more or less 200 years after the fact. And while some of the things were passed down, a lot of it got heavily muddled and distorted over time, and then of course more distortions got thrown into dictionaries, and that's where a lot of people draw their information from. The truth is, Seether or Seether is the same as Sidu or Sidutru, and there are literally just, like 50 different variations of that one word alone. But ultimately, if you look up Sidu, you can pretty much track it right off the bat. It's the same word, and just means customs, and it does not mean sorcery, magic, and all the other stuff associated with that. A good reason also why it's not even remotely the same is because these groups have chosen not to acknowledge Warlock or the Vecha as the names for the clergy, which were the names. But they've instead used other names like Buddhi and Gotcha, with a few dialectic different pronunciations, which actually just means good ones. And it was actually a title for the various leaders within the court system called the Althing or Althing. And these are basically the oldest forms of parliament that still exist actually in Iceland today, based on those ancient roots that were very common among many different clans and tribes, aside from all the modern day nationalistic identities like German, Scotland, Germany, Scotland, England, Saxony, Scandinavia, Sweden, and many more. And while it's nice to think about those mystical things, it seems like a really ballsy concept from a 1980s heavy metal band book cover or something, or whatnot. It's, again, one of those examples of a lot of it's built on distortions. And while some say they're trying to reconstruct a lot of the things supposedly lost, they're not constructing from the actual sources. They're not paying better attention to the actual meaning of the words. They're only basing on lost associations, misrepresentations, and ongoing things of that sort. So that's also one key factor there. Now, the other thing is, some of them actually have broken down and have misrepresented. And I'm not saying it's all on purpose, but I kind of question it since just reading and knowing the words themselves literally pretty much makes it clear that a lot of them have grasped at straws and essentially are pretending to know what things mean and are only further taking things out of context, something that even actual scholars have noted several times. And when I've done my own independent research and then cross-referenced that with actual scholarly sources, a lot more of it matches up, and it clears out so many contradictions, so many misdirections, and a host of other things. For example, 3 cosmological principles of Warlock, for the W, Weird, and Wayhouse. Sometimes this has a V in front of it instead of a W. There's some slight variations, but some of it was intentionally overworld puns. These 3 cosmological principles apply both on the literally cosmological concepts, but as well as on the personal level of things, so to speak. So, in essence, they're present immanently and transcendently. Warloga basically means primal laws, and Weirda is the source of word, and work. Anybody who does any research will find that themselves, rather than just these other sources that form these identities. And that's really what you have to do. Basically have to start over fresh and kind of brush off a lot of extra irrelevant stuff. And you can start getting at the heart of a lot more. So anyway, understanding that Weirda means word as an expression of the Warlock. Ward is what kind of keeps things all in harmonious interaction, literally protecting, guarding, watching over things, and where having the meaning of ward and things placed in the overall, then you kind of get the better understanding that when somebody says a phrase like, well, the weird that has shaped this for me, was actually a phrase that didn't mean fate, but rather circumstance. And it literally means, in that context, that circumstances have shaped this for me, and the circumstances will have their way. And that's a significant difference between the concept of a strict, rigid, fatal, whatever kind of concept. So there's a lot of these factors that make these things significantly distinct on multiple levels. Excuse me, I'm very, very tired. I've been up just hammering away, getting more details out for people. People have also asked about, like, okay, what's the third principle? And the word is they-os. And they-os literally means being of us, ours, or our being, literally. It's like the word, for example, werewolf or werewolf. We would say wolfman, but it's actually meaning a man-wolf. So you have to understand these key nuances in the related languages, and then follow the context, not the concepts or the footnotes. And it ultimately has the context of the being as in the essence of everything within all of us. And if I were to go ahead and put it down in a very more modern-day scientific comparison of concept, I would call them eternal laws, eternal dynamics, and eternal energy. The thing is that the Warloga was given by Godin. Literally also called things like the All-Father. Literally mean Father of all faiths. Not some secondary lesser being that eventually rose later in the Vedic type myths, but literally the very first of all beings. So this is actually where the mirror connection is, where the word mirror from actually Latin sources for memory rather than local sources that would have had the name minder, meaning mind or mindful one. It's just another example, and in close context with this, with the weird sisters in the North, is also something that's been very well noted, but a lot of people tend to, for whatever reason, ignore it. And another term for the three goddesses were the Ostara, and again the word us or is again means us or our. And ster means lady, whereas the stera is a plural and means literally ladies. Ustara literally means our ladies. And it was appropriated by later Catholicism only in the term of the Oster as Easter, and thus Easter, in association with their version of Our Lady, which happens to be their Madonna. So you can kind of see how that was appropriated as well. Just like the name Hell itself is associated with one of the three goddesses, and another of their aspects has been turned into sort of like a Hades type thing. So when, excuse me, when you cut past all that cake on the crust, as it were, you can actually get down to something more solid. Now, the other factor is that the word wave is also present in the word ve and fe, and means, again, beings and was applied to spirits. And this is tied to the concept of the vahas, or vehas, that is expressed through all things. Then the soul, or the being of a creature or a person or what have you, is the conduit, very literally. In other words, come from that, like Wainar, Venar, Vanir, Vater, with the word tir, in this case meaning renowned, and famous, and the word ve meaning beings. So literally, the word Vater has the literal meaning of renowned beings, renowned spirits, as native spirits to the land in which people live. So those are some very key examples. And it's also a fact that each one of the goddesses themselves were represented in triadic form. So was the one god, Odin. And while others have problems with this, in Sidutru it's clearly recognized and accepted by factors of name and legitimacy that the forms are Wurthor, which doesn't mean glory, it literally means old Thor, from Wurthor. It was basically Old Man Winter, Jack Frost, that kind of thing in folklore. Loki, which literally, again, goes back to the word lock for lock, and look, and ultimately means lucky one, binding one, as well as watchful one. And is associated with the springtime, healers, and everything else. It's also the aspect of God was associated with the Warlocks because of the last part of the name. Since that aspect was the most demonized and synchronized, essentially with the Catholic concept of the Lucifer figure. It just kind of got like that, and it just went downhill from there. But also, the same thing with the Weird Sisters was also tied to three witches. So you literally have the Warlock and three witches that have become kind of like secondary reflections of the old folklore, or folk tales, which was called folk tales, literally folk tales. So those are just some key factors, and if you go back over to the section on Sidutru, you'll actually see how more of that's clarified.